Good evening, everybody. For those who may not know me, my name is Roscoe D. Cooper III, and I have the privilege of serving as the supervisor for the Fairfield District. And it is indeed a privilege and pleasure. This is the fourth Fairfield Forum we've done this year. And there's a goal of intentionality to crisscross the entire Fairfield District. We started our forums at the new Sports and Entertainment Center. And then after that, we went to the Henrico Fairfield Recreation Center, and then Lakeside at Belmont. And we are ending this year in the great neighborhood of Central Gardens at what used to be the old Central Gardens Elementary School. And then another iteration was the Mathematics Science Center that many of us remember visiting as children. And now it is the home of PAL, Henrico Police Athletic League. So we're excited about being here. We've got some residents of Central Gardens here. So I want the oldest sister, Robina, stand up real quick. Introduce everybody to your mama and tell them how long she been living here. Come on, real quick. I would have called you the oldest sister.
Here. This is how was all the out here at the living out here. Was he good back here? 50 years.
58 years. Come on, give her a hand. 58 years. So she's been living. And she said, thank you, Robina. And she said, my husband and I bought this house, and I'm not leaving my house. And so we're excited for her and other neighbors and members from the Central Gardens neighborhood. Well, we want to go ahead and get started. We have a great forum for you tonight. I want to begin by asking our Director of Recs and Park, Mr. John Zanito, to come, and he's going to give us update from Recs and Park. Mrs. Zanito.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Good evening. All right, so I would like to start with an update on some things that are going on at the East Recreation Center. How many of you guys have used that facility or are familiar with that facility? Most of you. So this past summer, we started a project to rehab the track around the football field. If you had seen it, it was in need of some repair. The rubber surface was cracking. So we have, I'd like to give you an update on that now. We are completed with the project with one caveat. We did not get the rubber surface in before the weather turned. So we'll be coming back in the spring to do that. But it is reopened. It is paved. But if you're wondering, is it going to get rubber? Yes, it is going to get a new rubber surface. We have to have, I think it's about 50 degrees and rising. So when the weather gets nice again, so in the springtime when it gets warm, look forward to being able to put the rubber surface on at that facility. But you can use it in the meantime. It's perfectly acceptable to use as is. The asphalt base is down. So it'll be open. We'll have to close it probably about a week when we put the rubber surface in, and then we'll reopen. So that's the update on that facility. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is Three Lakes Park. How many of you guys have attended Three Lakes Park or know where it is? All right, a lot of you. So as a part of the 2016 bond referendum, Three Lakes Park was one of the many parks that was due for renovation. And this past Tuesday night, the board approved award a contract for that park to redo a new restroom and then some improvements to the entrance to the nature center. So I'm going to take you through some slides so you can really see what we are going to be doing. So you can see right here, this is what that entrance to Lake 2 and that nature center will look like. We're going to have really the visitor experience completely enhanced. There'll be a nice area for drop-off. We're going to have an outdoor classroom. We're going to have some new interactive play equipment. and that little pavilion area on the lake. And it's going to lead into the Nature Center, which is also currently under renovation. And we hope to complete both projects at the same time. So we will reopen the Nature Center when we do that. And we're targeting summer. We think it'll be about July of next year. Construction will start in January. But here's some pictures that you guys can see. That's the outdoor classroom and kind of gazebo area out on Lake 2. Again, another picture of that overlook. The curb appeal, we're going to have stamped concrete leading in and some lighting of the site. I know our animal staff are really excited. We're going to do some interactive play equipment that shows the life cycle of a frog. So you'll have, I think we have pictures, here, where you'll have different play equipment leading into the Nature Center that take you through the different life cycle of a frog. And then the great thing is you can then go into the Nature Center and actually see, we do have some frogs, other amphibians and reptiles on display. So when we open that up, you'll get to have play equipment, and then you can actually see examples of those animals in the Nature Center. Here's the floor plan of the restroom. So if you've been out there, you know, only one restroom. It is the original restroom, definitely needed to be rehabbed. So we're actually going to be abandoning that restroom. And this is an example of what the new restroom will look like. Very similar design to what was installed out at Taylor Farm Park. The existing restroom, as opposed to just tearing the building down, will be converted into a quarantine and animal hospital for the Nature Center. So when they bring new animals into the exhibit, they'll have a quarantine space that they can bring it in before they introduce it to other animals. And if they ever have any animals that are having any issues, they can take them off exhibit and keep it in that space so not to infect the entire collection. So that building will stay, but it will no longer be a restroom facility. It will get used by the Nature Center. And again, another picture of the outside. All right, and the final thing I'd like to talk to you about is in the back. If you did not pick up flyers, we have a lot of activities going on here in the Fairfield district and then also just throughout the county. So there's 2 flyers back there. There's this one that's kind of a lot of the holiday happenings. And then we have another one on specific activities on the school break. So if you have kids who are looking for things to do, pick this one up and it will talk about some of the things that we have going on. Just to highlight a few things, we have an open house just up the road from here. I think it technically is in the Varina district, but is close. The Clark Palmer House is doing an open house this Sunday. And then we're really excited next week, the Holiday Express Tour. This is an event that we started back in COVID when we couldn't meet with people. We got our department, a lot of our neighboring agencies, police, fire, libraries. We caravan a bunch of vehicles through neighborhoods. We have a giant float, we have Santa on it, and we drive through all the different magisterial districts. We take 3 different nights. So we just released today the route. So go online, go into our app, you'll see the route, but that is Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Thursday will be the Brooklyn and Fairfield district. Tuesday, we're doing the Three Chop and Tuckahoe district, and Wednesday is the Varina district. That's a free event. It's really cool. Kids, if they get to see the fire trucks, they get to see, police vehicles, flashing lights. They get to meet Santa. So it's really cool. See if we're driving through your neighborhood. We're also hitting communities. So we're going to be pulling through places like schools. So if we don't hit your neighborhood, you can go to one of those hubs. And then at the end of the route, there's usually a place where you can gather where we have things like hot chocolate and you can actually meet the people that were on the float. So we're really excited about that. It was super successful and we continued it on since the COVID eras. You can see some of the other events we have going on. And then we just have some regular programming. Just up the road from here, Henrico Theater has a whole month full of movies and concerts. Most of those are, the movies are $1, the concerts are $5 or $10, and then most of the other programmings are all free. So check out this flyer in the back with all of our holiday offerings. So with that, yeah, do you guys have any questions for me on any of this or just anything about recreation? Yes, sir.
Reason why the aerators are off. Is there a reason why the aerators
Are you referring to the fountain or the aerators?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, there is a reason that fountains are off. So although the fountains on some of them are not running, we do have aerators and bubblers. So that's what's really keeping the oxygen levels for the fish. We struggle on the fountains with fishing line. So what happens is fishermen love to cast at the fountains because the fish are more active there, but we constantly get line caught in the pumps, and then we have to get the pumps rebuilt, and it takes a long time to get the pumps rebuilt. So we're aware of that. There's a couple other places where we constantly struggle with getting the motor rebuilt. And then we do, and then we have some other issues. So we're working on some solutions. But just because you don't see the fountain, the aerators are what's really keeping the oxygen levels. The fountain is more of a decorative thing that we are working on, but at least the health of the environment for the fish is good. Dory's the same. We struggle at Three Lakes, Echo Lake, and Dory are the ones that we're constantly, like we just got Echo Lake fixed a couple months ago, and then I think I heard 2 weeks ago. So we're trying to come up with a better system so that the line doesn't get caught in the fountain. But what's happening is the water is being sucked in, and then the line clogs the motor and then burns the motor up. But thank you. Any other questions? Yep, up here.
Hi, good evening. Are there any updates on updating the track or improving the track at Hidden Creek?
At Hidden Creek, I know that is something that we can look at. There is not an active project at Hidden Creek, but that is something we can certainly look at. We did do some improvements. I guess it's probably been about 18 months where we did the pickleball courts and some improvements there. But I know there is the asphalt there. One of the things that we're looking at including in our CIP this year is money specifically set aside for trail rehabilitation because there's that one as well as a number of paved trails throughout the county that we have to identify. So we can certainly look at that one. We're aware of some of the issues, particularly with the roots that go under those. And we all love the tree canopies next to the area, but it also creates some issues. So we can certainly look at that. Thank you. Yes, sir.
invited to update that park? I just sat there. I ain't been down there for years.
I ain't been down there for years, and I just rode down there yesterday. And the house down there, is it still programs going on now?
We did some renovations of the inside of that facility about the same time that we did the pickleball courts. So the outside facade doesn't look a lot different, but the inside we did new flooring, new kitchen, new restroom facility. We do work with an organization in the summertime to do some programming and camp out of there. So we have done some programming out at that recreation facility. And we can certainly look to do more, but there was a significant amount of improvements that Mr. Thornton funded a couple years ago on the inside.
Yeah, I guess I read the paper too much, and I saw that one out there in the West End, about $4.5 million, and I rode down there and like, we could use a few dollars down here, but anyway.
For the lights, talking about for sure.
So Three Lakes, So Three Lakes was the original bond was a $3.3 million project. We added 2.3. We added 300,000 of our own, and then with this board paper, we added another 700. So the total for the park renovation at Three Lakes is 3.3 million. And the East Rec track, just for you guys, was around a $250,000 improvement at that facility. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Zanino. Next, we have our Deputy Director, Deputy County Manager of Community Development, Mr. Steve Yob. He's going to come and he's going to present on some issues pertaining to our community developments.
Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Again, my name is Steve Yob. I'm Deputy County Manager for Community Operations, which means I have, thank you. I have a number of things that I say grace over, but roads and pedestrian and bicyclist safety is one of them that we're very concerned with. I also have water and sewer. Now, just a little historical perspective. I've been doing that for 12 years now. I was the Director of Public Works for 8 years. And then I've been in this position now for 4. And when I first started, we really didn't have much in the way of pedestrian, bicycle safety like we're doing today. We have made huge, huge progress. And in fact, the first project that we did when I started with Public Works 12 years ago was a sidewalk on Route 1 in the Fairfield district at the Villa Park. And that was funded by the county. It was championed by Mr. Thornton, because the residents of Villa Park, if you know those folks, many of them are disabled or they have mobility assistance devices, wheelchairs and so forth. So they had no sidewalks to get to the Walmart, and they live in apartments over there. So, we do care about that. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight. So I'm going to go through some things very quickly, but first up, before we get into all the pedestrian things, is we're going to talk a little bit about the Wilkinson Bridge. Do you want to? And I'm going to show you a video because, it's been closed for a while. It's going to be open soon. Hopefully you'll understand the scope of this project. It was a major project.
Yeah, so we're here at the Wilkinson Road Bridge Project, which is a bridge replacement project between Pony Farm Drive and Wilkinson Estates Drive. And this is a box culvert replacement project, replacing the existing box culverts with 3 box beam bridges. The purpose of this project was because Wilkinson Road is such a heavily traveled roadway, it typically flooded during heavy rain events, and we needed to elevate the roadway to prevent that flooding in the future. So since the project began in September of 2023, there has been an active detour to all through traffic utilizing Route 301 and Azalea Avenue and the supporting roadways. Though it's a major inconvenience to the local neighborhoods in the area, it wasn't feasible to keep Wilkinson Road open and continue construction of the new bridges in this area. Yeah, so we're in the Upham Brook area, one of the lower areas within the Fairfield district. And when we receive heavy rains, the various streams and creeks of this area, the water level rises. Since the project began in September, we've made tremendous progress out here. The previously existing box culverts have all been removed, had their new bridges that are replacing those box culverts, had the production piles driven, new abutments formed and stripped of their concrete forms, and then had the new concrete box beams installed. Yeah, so we're anticipating, though the project is slightly ahead of schedule, we're anticipating that the project will be able to be driven on for through traffic in May of 2025. We have a bridge maintenance program that goes out and assesses various bridges and culverts throughout the Henrico County area. Whenever we're designing and planning a project, the county's always trying to find the best solution. We always want to make sure, if we are doing an improvement, that we are doing the best solution to prevent future flooding issues, whatever is needed.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that it's a major inconvenience to have to go around that detour. They're just, with the level of swamp that's over there in Upham Brook, there was just no other way to get around it. The old bridge, which was in fair to poor condition, and when it gets in fair to poor condition, it's really time for it to go. But there were just a whole bunch of small concrete pipes under that road, and so they were not adequate. It did not meet a standard of a road and a bridge that we have today. So the new bridges, there are 3, will be able to survive a 25-year storm event. So that road should never go under what it can go underwater in a greater than a 25-year storm, but most storms are going to go under that bridge without the road going underwater. So that was a major effort. We had to raise the road, raise the bridges so it wouldn't flood every time we get a couple inches of rain. So that should help the mobility in the area. So yes, sir.
So target what they did.
The target was May, according to Jason on the video you just saw, but we're a little ahead of that even. Now, I'd like to say we could be open in the next couple of months, but the problem, I don't want to say that today because with the cold weather coming on, asphalt plants are going to be closing, and they don't make hot asphalt when it's this cold out. So it's just going to be weather dependent. We are at the point where we can start paving the road and finishing it up. But again, it's weather dependent. So if we get a lot of really bad winter weather with snow, cold weather, we can't do the paving and we can't paint the road with the striping and the center lines and all that stuff. So I am hopeful, Reverend Cooper, that we will be open soon. Again, Jason said May. I'm hoping we're going to beat that, but let's just hope we don't have a very cold winter. Any other questions about Wilkinson? Yes, ma'am.
Is it somebody get somebody highway or as a thing to say?
It will be 2. We were limited on like for like. In other words, replacing with the funding we got for that road, we had to replace it with the same kind of bridge that was there, same width. However, it'll be wider and it'll have enough room that you'll be able to walk on it. We don't have sidewalks because we didn't have sidewalks before, but it'll be wide enough with shoulders that you'll be able to walk across the bridge without being in a travel lane of a car. Okay. All right, let's talk about, again, some major projects we've got going on. Another project that is almost complete now is the Creighton Road Improvements Project. That goes from Laburnum to Sandy Lane. It's kind of on the border of Fairfield and Verina. And that included a new bridge as well, ladies and gentlemen. There was another stream crossing there. And as our county has aged, all these bridges need attention. And so that bridge has been replaced. The road has been straightened out. It used to be somewhat of an S-curve there, and it has been widened, and there now are sidewalks. That project's almost done. Not far from there, the Richmond-Henrico Turnpike, the south segment. This is from Azalea Avenue to Laburnum. They are currently working on moving the utility poles so that project can begin. And that will have sidewalk on it as well on both sides and a asphalt trail. So another major project that's coming soon. We are working on the Magellan Parkway extension. Many of you may know the old Scott Road Bridge over I-95 that used to get hit by tall vehicles all the time. We had to take that down. Well, VDOT took it down, but there is no bridge there now, and so the new bridge will be called Magellan Parkway Extension, and it'll connect up the Scott Road community with Route 1. And that again will have sidewalk trail and so forth on it. And that's a picture of a roundabout there that ties into the Green City project. So we're excited about that project. Pedestrian safety, as I said, we're very concerned about, we're actually the second, in the Commonwealth of Virginia, we're number 2 as far as pedestrian accidents and fatalities right now. Not a statistic we're very proud of at all. In fact, we're embarrassed at that. We don't want to have anyone get hurt. So the county has been talking, I've been meeting with police Public Works, Terrell Hughes, the Director of Public Works, County Engineer. We've been doing everything we can to promote safety. But one thing you can do, ladies and gentlemen, we've got these free reflective safety vests here. You can wear these vests and be defensive with your walking at night or if you're riding a bicycle. One common thing when we find pedestrians are getting hit, frequently it's at night. Frequently the pedestrian is wearing darker clothing, and it's in these unlit corridors, and we're doing some lighting now at some of these intersections. But people jaywalk, they walk not at the corner, but they'll cross wherever they are in the mid-block. So these are all common things we're seeing when there's an accident, because we look at what was the cause. So as a pedestrian, you remember the old campaign we had about driving defensively? I would urge you as a pedestrian, walk defensively. By that I mean you wear a reflective bit of clothing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate that. Or you carry a flashlight so that cars can see you. Walk facing traffic so you can see what's coming at you. I would avoid crossing at mid-block. Cross at the corner, because the cars are paying more attention at corners than they are between the corners. And just do everything you can to be visible, and just be careful, please, please. And motorists, yes, sir.
That's the sad. So it's been sad.
We'll see if one of those fits you. If not, I'll get your name and I'll see what we can do for you, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, motorists out there, please slow down and watch for folks on the road, because, you don't want to be that person who has a problem. And so everyone take care of each other. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so they said that which doesn't matter how.
Yeah.
I had thought about Martha Kennedy instead to us, because I think that a lot of people don't know what the opposite way out there. They usually wear they just don't know. It's still like homicide, but it's funny about. And so I know it's not something to be proud of, but if people want this, think about getting the word out there to more again.
Okay. It's a great point. We do have it on our website, and I'll talk a little bit about our Word on the Street newsletter as well. But that's one of the reasons at every public meeting that we are asked to attend to these days, we are talking about this. We are trying to get the word out. We've given out 10,000 of these vests, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll give out 10,000 more. I just want people to wear them, or wear something reflective, please. So, and that's a great point too, ma'am. I'm not blaming pedestrians at all. As you say, some people just don't know, and you don't know what you don't know.
They don't realize cars.
Yeah, no, they really can't. And when you're going 35 miles an hour and somebody's on the side of the road, most of the time you pass them by, you didn't even know they were there. Yes, sir.
That's up that people.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Reverend Cooper. We did have a very sad fatality. It was right down the street from my home. I live off Staples Mill Road. But a child he was a 16-year-old kid coming home from his shift at the Firehouse Subs, and he was a video call on his phone crossing Staples Mill in the middle of the block at night. And I guess he was paying more attention to his video call than the cars. And that road, people go 50 miles an hour. And sadly, the child was hurt. Killed. Yeah, very sad. So, as a pedestrian, as a driver, put the phone down. Pay attention to what you're doing, please. Someone's life depends on it. Thank you. Okay. Hopefully, next time we talk, we won't be number 2 in the state. That's our goal. Let's get this down to 0. Okay. So, What else are we doing? The other thing we're doing is we're putting in a lot of sidewalk because people, guess what? When you're on the sidewalk, they don't get hit by cars. That doesn't happen. So we're putting in a lot of sidewalk. We have 57 active pedestrian projects involving sidewalk, 13 miles of sidewalk presently. We're doing shared use paths. Shared use paths are generally asphalt. They're a little wider, and by shared use we mean cyclists, people who are jogging, pushing strollers. They're wide enough to accommodate everybody. We're putting in bus shelters and benches because sadly, a lot of the people who ride buses have to cross. And where do they cross? Right where they happen to be. Not necessarily at the corner, but if the bus stop is in front of a shopping center, they shoot straight across. That causes a risk. And we're also doing pedestrian crosswalks and signs. We do have in Fairfield, and I'm going to very quickly go over this, a bunch of projects that are either in design or getting ready to go to construction. So this one is Laburnum from Caroline Avenue to the city line. Very heavy pedestrian area over there by the racetrack. That 7,000-foot project is currently being designed. Another project that is near and dear to someone's heart is the project on the west side of Laburnum between 360 and Austin Avenue. I've heard about this project from one person at least for a couple of phone calls, I think. It's a sidewalk. We built, that's Mr. Garthright. Yeah. Mr. Garthright has advocated for this for a while. Thank you, sir. We put sidewalk on the other side between 360 headed east towards the rec center and the bus stop, but Mr. Garthright quickly pointed out to us that we need one on the other side. So that's in design, sir.
But I think it's 3, maybe 4. Homes.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, most of them, all except one is on it. Schools out. They take a look at the shoppers.
Yeah.
Someone just walking in Liberty behind the cage where I had to call the police. The other gentleman was walking for a damn rain. He'd walk around the middle of the traffic.
Yeah.
So I'm afraid Mr. Hughes had told me that he dealt like that.
Yeah. And I think Mr. Garthright and all of y'all, you advocate for things that you see in your neighborhood because we don't live in your neighborhood. I live in, off Staples Mill Road. I don't see what you see. So you got something you that's important to you, let Reverend Cooper know. Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Clear out that.
Okay, the question is, the Watch Out Ahead Henrico campaign has gained a good deal of public notice with the vests, and given the climate of pedestrian fatalities and the darkness occurring earlier in the evening, what initiatives are being offered in Henrico County schools to provide education resources to students and their families? That's a great question. We are also giving away vests to our students through the schools. We are also working on sidewalks and crosswalks near the schools where we don't have them. We just put one in at Glen Allen High School. We just put one in at Henrico High School, a crosswalk. And we've recently gotten funding through the county manager's office to put in safety lighting at some of the more problematic intersections where there's a lot of pedestrian activity. So we'll have some lights on these intersections to better light things up. But yes, it's important that those students be aware of these things too. So we are working with schools. Thank you, sir. Okay. And this one was another Laburnum project. This one happens to be from Creighton Road over towards the library and Watts Lane. There's a missing piece of sidewalk on one side of the road. So, okay. So this again, another cool project. I think we got federal funding called Reconnecting Communities, because when the interstate highways came through, they divided some communities, didn't they? So the community here, Adams Elementary School to White Oak, there will be a sidewalk now, so you can get through that clover leaf, and that's a very frightening clover leaf for a pedestrian. If you've been through there, cars are whipping on and off the highway, and it's just it needs help. So that has been funded, and it is currently being designed. Kingsridge Parkway, we're putting a pedestrian there at Laburnum and Kingsridge, so that we'll have a pedestrian crosswalk there as well as a traffic signal. That'll be new. Brook Road, we're putting right by Virginia Center Commons, we're putting pedestrian countdown signals and crosswalks on Brook Road. Sir.
I want it very easy.
Yes, sir.
And get out real solid on that road. This is one of the most famous things
Yes, sir.
I'm resting. Goes out in the middle of the street. It's not calm.
Yes, sir.
Get out. It's a light. I don't say that. But it's easy to get out.
Yes, sir. And I'll repeat the question for you.
For the teachers that get out and the parents who are drivers, it is one of the most dangerous incidents you could possibly have. Is it any way possible to get at least somebody to come out at about 3:15 to 3:30 to get the parents out, to get the staff out, because it's dangerous. It's very dangerous.
Well, thank you for that, sir. I have heard the complaints about Fairfield Middle School. Fairfield Middle School is on 9 Mile Road, which is a VDOT facility. VDOT, of course, owns and controls it. So we're limited as to what we can do to improve the road. We have been working with VDOT. 9 Mile is a particular area of focus for us because there's a lot of pedestrians over there. So we're aware of it. We're working with VDOT on it. And right now I don't have a good solution for you, but we are working with them on it and pushing them to make that better. Yes, sir. Okay, the other thing that is also a big thing coming to Fairfield is the Fall Line Trail. The Fall Line Trail is going to be a bicycle and pedestrian walking trail from Ashland to Petersburg, approximately 43 miles long, roughly 7.5 miles in Henrico. We built the first piece of this over by Bryan Park, and that's what you can see in this photograph on the right. We put a really cool crosswalk over there, so when a pedestrian comes to that crosswalk, that zebra walk you see in that picture, they press the button and it turns red, so cars have to stop, and then they can safely cross the road. I think that's the first one of those in the county. We'll probably do more of them. They're very expensive, but anyway, this is something new, and when that trail is built in about 2 years. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
And we've got the same type of issue with Henrico High School. But this light, please help me with this. Did you say if you hit the button, there's a traffic light that turns red?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the traffic's supposed to stop at that point?
They are supposed to stop. Yes, sir.
Okay.
And then what it does, the light turns red. I think it blinks first, and then it turns solid red, so cars are supposed to stop. And then it goes to a flashing mode where if the pedestrian is out of the crosswalk, then the driver can stop and proceed. If you see a red flashing light, you're supposed to stop, and then you can go after you are sure it is clear. But again, that's the first one of those we did. Now I know at Henrico High School we just put in a crosswalk, and I believe there's some flashing lights there as well. We are working on a safety study on Azalea as well.
Yes, I know about the safety study, correct. He has a survey, I think, that's being done as well. But we just want to make sure that we address this issue before a child is hit going across Azalea Avenue.
Yes, sir.
But you piqued my interest with that light, so I'll speak to you afterwards after this meeting as well.
Yes, sir. Thank you. New technology and things are changing all the time, and this is something, again, it's new, and we're now using it at that location. So if you ever go through on Lakeside Avenue, just out of the city of Richmond, right by Bryant Park, pull into the old Bank of America building and go over and look at it, press the button and see how it works. I think you'll be impressed. Then we are putting in with what they call buffered bike lanes on some roads. Here, a couple of them are mentioned: Mountain Road down by down south of Greenwood, and Wilkinson Road. That's over by I think that's 301. Yeah, 301 to Three Lakes Park. These bike lanes. What we're doing, ladies and gentlemen, is we're painting where the road is wide enough to accommodate cars, and we have extra asphalt. We're painting in a lane for bicycles and for people to walk in. Frequently, it's hard to build sidewalks everywhere we'd like to build them, but we can paint these lanes in and put some little reflector posts, and that way walkers, bicyclists, stroller people, they can all use those lanes. We're also doing more bike lane projects again. Dumbarton Road is slated for those buffered bike lanes. And now I'll switch real quickly to GRTC. And I said we're looking at about 50 shelters with GRTC. Here's a few of the upcoming shelters in the Fairfield district. A couple by St. Joseph's Villa. I mentioned earlier the first sidewalk that we did when I came to Public Works was at the Villa. Brook at the Walmart, Laburnum, 9 Mile. So we want to get more of these in. Staying on the transit side, we also this year extended bus service up to Virginia Center Commons on the Route 1 corridor. The Azalea study I mentioned, we're going to talk afterwards, and we're looking at what we can do to improve that facility, that road. And then finally, I think this is it, the word on the street. So, the young lady over here mentioned getting out the word to people. This is one mechanism we're using. It's a newsletter you can sign up for. There's a QR code in the back. You can take that picture with your phone and it'll take you to a website. Or there's a sheet back there you can sign up. Ladies and gentlemen, sign up for it because Beth, who writes this newsletter, you'll be aware of any project in the Fairfield district if you sign up for the Fairfield newsletter. Each one is for each district. She does 5 of them every month. So we are trying to communicate with you better. So with that, that's all I had to say, ladies and gentlemen. Be safe. Yes, ma'am.
The Henrico Citizen used to put out newspapers, and they used to be like in Wawa's and other stores in the area throughout the county. Is that something that's being considered again? Because it almost kind of seems like they're kind of one and the same.
Well, the Henrico Citizen is a private newspaper.
Okay.
It is all online as far as I know now. I mean, I get it online, but if you go on the Henrico Citizen website, you can sign up for it. It'll come to your computer. Yeah, anyone else have a question, ladies and gentlemen? Okay.
Quickly.
Yeah.
Listen, here's what that meeting the other night, and I called back the next day. I had to ride this neighborhood. I saw something they call speed bumps.
Yes, sir.
And I mentioned to him, we have a trillion speed problem. Austin Avenue.
Yes, sir. We've talked.
From Carolina to 360.
Mm-hmm.
And also Bard Street.
Yes, sir.
And I had said to him, what's the possibility that we make it get like some on Boston and some on Bard to slow the traffic down? I know I had the speed limit lowered, but nobody pays attention to that. And we'll have to say the police department. It was like that. I think it was Friday after Thanksgiving. And I'm sure they filled up several books of tickets.
Yes, sir.
We just got trouble speed. We just set up a tailgate right there next to the school. And that was caused by speed.
Okay. Well, if you've talked to Terrell, the process, Mr. Garthright, ladies and gentlemen, is when we get a resident says, hey, there's speeding on my street, first thing we do is we verify through a speed study, which either involves these radar signs that we use, or sometimes they put tubes on the street, or they even sometimes get data from cell phones because those track you. So that data is sometimes used. So we use all those tools. If there is indeed a speeding problem where there's excessive speed, speed humps are one tool that we can use. They are effective at reducing speed. We also have found many roundabouts in intersections to work very well too. And then there's other things like bump outs and narrowing the road. And there's a variety of tools, Mr. Garthright. We don't try and hit every nail with a sledgehammer. Sometimes it's a tack hammer or something different. But yes, I've heard about Byron and I've heard about Austin from you and from Terrell. Thank you. Yes, sir. I know you advocate for safety, and I thank you for that, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Sir, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Mr. Yob. I want to call up Deputy Chief Todd Alvis to come now. And Chief, you got some members of your force, our force, with you. Can you just kind of recognize them? Can we just give our police officers a hand for just protecting us?
Thank you, Dr. Cooper, and thank you for everybody for being here tonight, coming out to this meeting. I was coming here tonight to talk to you about some of the crimes that we've seen in Fairfield and some of the things that we can do for prevention, but let me start off with school safety. So we had a horrible and tragic incident happen at Henrico yesterday, at Henrico High School. It was very unfortunate that it did happen. I can tell you this, that it was an isolated incident, and I can tell you that you should be proud of the teachers and the staff and the school resource officers that worked and the school security officers that worked at these schools, particularly Henrico yesterday. There is no doubt that they saved a life. There is no doubt that they did that. So very fortunate that we have people that care and working in these schools and that they were able to respond as quickly as they did. And break up that situation and get that situation resolved. We pray for the young man who is still at the hospital and still in critical condition. And then we're seeking justice for him and his family. And we do that, right? The police department does that. There's no such thing as street justice. So rely on your police department. You have one of the best police departments in the nation. And the men and women who work in this police department, standing here in the back, some of them, are the very best that we have. And so we will work to make sure that justice is served. And in this case, we made a quick arrest in that incident, and that we will work to make sure that the students throughout Henrico County stay safe. So I'll take any questions if you have any questions on Henrico. I can't get into the specifics of the case, unfortunately, until things start to wrap up. And because these are juveniles, we want to respect the privacy of the family and the juveniles. I can't get into terrible specifics, but I'll be able to answer any questions generally.
When you ask, this is general questions or questions about it?
Just questions, general questions about school safety.
I didn't even think anything for take a sweat down a little bit. And I think I've spoken about this a little bit. These people come through my neighborhood blasting music to the point where my windows are vibrating. I was on the computer, my hands are vibrating because that boombox that went against his car is like five. I thought one in particular who drives through my neighborhood with the music so loud that everything vibrates in my house. And I've asked him, I asked him one day if he could not do that. And then three of them came out, did their thing. So I don't know what to do about that.
When they come to your neighborhood, and I know one time I said I'm not worried about the neighbors. I said I wasn't worried about cars coming through, but now I am because it's excessive. What do you do about that?
So we do have a loud noise ordinance in Henrico County. It is against the law to have that from your vehicle. What we need to do is pinpoint a time and location when this is happening so that we can take corrective action.
When he comes through, and because I asked him not to do it, it's more.
Oh, really?
He just to the not. I mean, it's loud. It's really loud.
Okay. We brought a lot of people here tonight to help you. So with that issue, if you've got specific issues concerning that, like you have in your neighborhood, we're going to be happy to help you, and we'll address it as we can. So we need to get more specifics from you on time of day, street, and stuff like that. And I want you to give that right now over the internet.
I won't do that because I will not. I have an open phone, so.
Right. So we will talk afterwards, and we'll get it addressed for you.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
We had a shooting last week on Cleary, not too far from here, 2000 block. I was sleeping. It woke me up. It was very loud. It's right around the corner from where I live. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I'll have to look into the specifics on Cleary, on that shooting. We do have, unfortunately, lots of discharges from firearms. That crime is high. It's probably the highest gun crime that we have in Henrico County, is people discharging their firearms. I know that you hear it. We respond to it. We'll take corrective action when and if we catch anybody. I will tell you this, and this is one of the things I wanted to bring up for preventive actions, New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Eve is a very dangerous time because people go out there and discharge their firearms. And we try to prevent that, and we try to respond to as many as we can and make any arrest that we can reference the discharge of the firearms into the air, because it's very dangerous, because what goes up comes down. And we need to take care of those and the safety of our citizens. So it's very important that when you hear a shot fired at night, anytime you hear a shot fired that's suspicious in nature, that you give us a call and we take a look at it. So with that said, let's get into some. Yes, ma'am.
How they work in the intersection of the Fairfield and Laverne, some interfield on Dill Road.
And a few weeks ago, there were probably maybe over 20 different vehicles, Chesterfield State Police in Henrico. And I was very concerned because I'm a director in a child care center, and we have lots of children there. And we weren't notified of anything that was going on, and they were there for probably over 5 hours.
Okay.
So can you speak to that?
I can't speak to that specifically because I don't know what specifically was going on. But anytime we have a multiple jurisdiction event like that, we do work with our law enforcement partners across the state. And anytime that they may have warrants or a search warrant that comes into Henrico, we're going to help them with that. I will tell you that anytime that if it's a safety concern for the public or the civilians, we're going to evacuate that area, and we're going to let you know what's going on at that point in time.
It was like safety concern, but it's
I can't because I don't know what event it was. So I'll have to get back with you and talk to you specifically about that to get specific details. Mr. Garthright.
Chuck, can't figure it out. I'm aware of what was happening. That was a chop shop being run at that garage and probably some drug activity. That's what was going on there.
Well, thank you, Mr. Garthright. I will tell you I'm not going to get into the specifics of that case.
No, I know you're not, but that has been going on for a while. And, yeah, I wasn't surprised about that.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. You got syndicated. Yeah.
So I will tell you this, as the holidays approach us, safety is always a concern. What we see spike this time of year is usually property crimes, and they'll go up. So make sure that you are protecting your property. Make sure that you're leaving your cars locked. Make sure that you're leaving your lights on at your house. Make sure that you are leaving your house locked when you're leaving. Arrange for packages to be delivered while you are there. and or leave them in a secure place. A lot of people now are leaving, boxes and securing boxes on their porch where you can secure your packages and then you can pick them up at a later time. So it is a high rising crime with Amazon and deliveries being made. This time of year, we're seeing more and more people stealing from porches. I just it's very brazen, walking up and stealing packages. So make sure you're protecting your property, make sure you're protecting your home. And that's because we want to see you get your have a safe and happy holidays, and you make sure you get what you ordered. So I'll take any other general questions at this point in time. Yes, ma'am.
I'm a resident, and I have a small stop, and it's
I need to know the courtesy of dog walking in Henrico, I guess.
The courtesy of dog walking. So you're allowed to walk your dog, right? Dogs do have to be controlled in Henrico. So you do have to have a leash and or some device and or a very well-trained dog because they have to be controlled in Henrico. And that's the law.
I guess what I'm asking is where are we allowed to walk?
Okay, you can walk them in common areas along the roadways. You cannot walk them on private property. So if you're anywhere near private property, then you can't walk your dog on there. But common areas, you can. Okay. Yep.
Yeah, question. People just got dogs on because I got to sit in my house about people, because somebody just dropped the dog off and the dog circling my house. And I couldn't come outside. Is that common?
I'm not aware of, that's not very common. No, do have people like dropping dogs off, when they no longer want to care for those dogs? Does that happen? Absolutely, yes, it does. It's not a very common thing. And if anything like that happens, please call us. We have animal protection unit that will absolutely come and help you with that. Yep.
I call about 10 times, so it's 10 times. Awesome.
Took a while, but like we had a city association, we only got two animal colors fair.
Okay.
So it's going to be a while before they come out to chill or whatever to get the dog. It's going to be a while. Yeah, they only got this turkey on the ship at a time. So it took about 4 or 5 hours. And I fed it all and everything.
Yeah.
And, but it took about 4 or 5 hours for them to come and get.
Yeah. I see a little star on my street. I'm falling out of control, but they should not be.
That's correct. They can't be. We got to prioritize those calls. Anytime that's a vicious dog or something like that, we're gonna adjust our response. Yep. Yes, sir.
There's large thing back to this.
They should. Absolutely.
Yes.
I'm not aware of anything that's on the books necessarily that says they have to do that, but it's a courtesy, yes. So his question was, are owners required to clean up after their pets, like on those common roadways? So.
Just the clarification. Dogs will be in the pickup store.
Yes.
Nobody should have to go,
Correct. Because it's private property, your dog shouldn't be on your property.
And your dad put a sign. And sometimes I thought about that stuff that
All right. Right. Understood. All right. Well, thank you all very much. Have a safe and happy holidays.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. We have our school board representative, Mr. Ryan Young, here. He has to leave after he presents because he also runs a league and they have draft night tonight. But I want to say that he spent all day yesterday at Henrico High School when the incident occurred. He called me and he was there for all day long. So can we just give him a hand for working for us?
Right, thank you, Reverend Cooper. Speaking of yesterday, our thoughts and prayers are with that student right now. I think Deputy Chief just spoke on it. I wasn't here to hear exactly what he said, but I'm sure he expanded on sort of what happened and what transpired yesterday, which was a stabbing at Henrico High School. What the kids are experiencing today is the aftermath. And that's what we're focused on, is really, really, really having the supports in the school for every last one of those students and what they had to witness yesterday. It was too often we have to witness things at a young age that some adults haven't even seen. And being there on campus yesterday, I think I got the call. I think I was there within an hour of getting the call. But when I got there, I would like to commend all of our HCPS staff. I mean, we had central office there. We had our entire division leadership team there. By the time I got there, they had set up different stations. I mean, we talking about kids that didn't eat, so the lunch people had to shift from serving meals to packing meals, and we had to deliver meals to the students because we were on the lock and teach. You know, and it's tough when you walk on your campus and you see yellow tape in the middle of your campus, right? It's not easy. It's not easy for any of us to process. My son goes to the school. He was there. The young man that is now recovering, thank God, right? He's in math class with him in 9th grade. So when we talk about the connection with our community and our families and the things that our young people have to deal with, it's tough. And today we had therapy dogs, we had counselors, we had mental health experts. I mean, Henrico offers a lot of mental health care right now. Like, the investment into the mental health space in Henrico County is through the roof. So I would like to reassure you guys here today that we are taking everything into consideration, and we are providing those supports to our students and our staff. I mean, our staff was locked down 3 hours in a classroom as well. You know, and some of them are now experienced because they knew the student. And let me say this, Henrico High School is a great community. It is a really, really good school. It's a great community. Once again, my son goes there. I graduated from there. Reverend Cooper graduated from there. It is an amazing community over there, and it's a tight-knit community. And this was truly an isolated incident. And it could have happened anywhere, at any time. But it happened at our school, and we were there. I would like to thank Reverend Cooper, Mr. Tyrone Nelson, Delegate McQuinn, Delegate Destiny Boland, our Chair Alicia Atkins, Senator Lamont Bagby. All of them trusted me being on scene and trusted me giving them the information on what was going on. But all of your elected leaders were constantly calling yesterday, texting, wanting to know what's the next step. What can we do now? And we had about 3 faculty members that had saved that kid's life yesterday. I won't mention their names, that will come out at a later time. But what they did when that call came through that radio was nothing short of a miracle. And they really did save their life. So I wanted to put that out there. The images that went around social media is still disturbing. I will say that. I'm hearing social media up and down on what cell phones. We still gonna double down on cell phones not being used in our classrooms. We will double down on that every single time, because nobody wants to look at those images of somebody else's child floating around the internet, and it goes nowhere. They're there forever. So when we hear about kids needing cell phones to call their parents, no, they don't. They can call the school. And what I can say is that the incident should not have happened. But once it did, the response from HCPS, from HPD, from Fire and Rescue was nothing short of outstanding. So the processes worked yesterday. Now, if we have any questions, I'm more than willing to answer any questions. Maybe it's something else. I had a presentation. I just didn't feel right presenting on other things today when we just had something of this magnitude happen yesterday in our community. But if you have some questions, I'm more than willing to answer those, ask them if you have them. But just understand that we are still putting the pieces back together. That young man has a long way to full recovery, but I'm believing God that he'll make it all the way through how it's full recovery. You know, not just, and also for the young man that committed the incident, right? his thoughts and he needs those same thoughts and prayers, because hopefully he gets the help that he needs as well. And that family is also going through something. And we can't forget that they are too a part of this community and this constituency here. So this is no win situation, right? But we do need to really keep them in our thoughts as well, because nobody wants their child to go down that path, right? So, but I will open it up to any questions or concerns or recommendations, whatever you feel the need to speak on tonight. I'm more than welcome to. Yes, ma'am.
I think
Okay.
Thank you for the stuff that you've done for Radcliffe Elementary School. With the new cafeteria tables, the marquee, all the good stuff that's happening over at the school.
Yes.
It's an old school and it needs a lot of work and love and tender care. This young man right here goes to that school.
Yes, he does.
And loves it. Loves that school. The principal is awesome and needs all the help she can get. But thank you for all you've done so far with this school.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And I can't let it go without thanking Reverend Cooper as well. I think our relationship makes this thing really work. He has the funding. Radcliffe Elementary. Yeah. So he has the funding, I have the need. When you Absolutely.
But they just ETA start that and
Yep.
I believe it's 17. Really done yet husband job is yet. Yeah, yeah.
That part. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Might want to say that, yeah.
Yes, sir. Mr. Cartwright.
Just real quickly, my understanding, Ridley has been accredited,
Yes, sir.
and I want to thank the principal. Don't laugh now, but his name is Flash Gordon. That's his real name in that case, the young man. He's done wonders for that school. We have a good relationship, and Reddy's there. I told him, I'm like, don't give up, just keep pushing.
Yeah, and to add to that, make sure he doesn't leave. We need more, and I would say all of our principals are really connected. But Mr. Gordon, I mean, he's out at bus stops at 6:45 in the morning making sure our kids get on these buses, right? We always talk about attendance. Many don't know attendance factors into accreditation. If you are 20% in the absenteeism rate, you get red marked for accreditation. So you have some schools that's doing well in English and science and math, but when it comes to absenteeism, it drops and they lose accreditation. They lose their full accreditation, right? They get their accreditation with conditions. And the system is changing, right? So we'll see how Governor Youngkin and his team plans on changing things up. So that's still a moving needle. But, I mean, Flash Gordon is amazing. Truly is. And we honored him at our school board meeting, I think a month ago. Yes, sir. Any other questions? All right. Reverend Cooper, thank y'all again. I appreciate it.
Excuse me, man.
You told me to stay here.
Is that Ms. Williams under that mask?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So just wave your hand, Ms. Williams. So Ms. Williams is an advocate for Glen Lee. How long have you been connected to that school?
I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there 14 years and I was still out of it.
She is. And so when I was a school board rep, Ms. Williams had me on speed dial. She'll tell you. One day she called me and says, the school is in disrepair. And did I not come through with the director of facilities? And we walked everywhere you asked us to walk. And I will say this real quick, and she'll tell you, Mr. Cartwright as well. I walked through Glen Lee one day, and in the cafeteria, the equipment to clean the floors as well as the stuff used to clean the floors was in the corner of the cafeteria. I called the superintendent and said, that is unacceptable. I've never been to any school in Henrico that the buffer for the floors and the material to buff floors was in the cafeteria where our children eat. Needless to say, from that day on, it was not in that corner. And to your point about Radcliffe, incidents such as that, I was unable to do myself because I had no budgetary allocation. But I'm happy to say, since I've been on this board of supervisors in the last 11 months, I have dedicated $1.1 million to Fairfield schools. And there's more to come. I'm getting in trouble, y'all, because my peers are like, hey, you got to slow down, amen. But so Ryan and I talked about it. My goal is every school in Fairfield has a digital marquee, because it's something prideful for our students and staff to ride up to an older building, but to see the name flashing, to see events being, promoted that talks about how much we care about our community. So I'm glad to hear that y'all are enjoying the stuff that we've done. Thank you, Ryan. Come on, give him another hand as he goes. Appreciate you, man. Next, I have someone that's so important to us as a community. Before we do that, Lowell Thomas, come up here real quick. This is off key, but Lowell Thomas, I've had 3 sons two graduated from Henrico schools. One is a freshman now, and all my sons have been a part of the PAL program. I'm a PAL parent, and I want this young man to introduce himself and to tell us a little bit about where we are and what's going on quickly. Come on, give Lowell Thomas a hand. There you go. Down to you.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Lowell Thomas. I'm the program director for Henrico PAL. We're really proud of the things we're doing in the community. This week, next month, we did a Thanksgiving turkey giveaway where we gave away 500 turkeys. That's big. To be able to serve people in need, to be able to help others, is something really important to us. Next week, we'll be gifting over 500 kids Christmas gifts. We'll be giving away 36 bikes to kids in need, and we just want to continue to do things in our community. That's a great question. So we have a mix of revenues. So we're a nonprofit organization, 501c3. So we fundraise and we charge nominal fees. If you compare our fees to anybody else in the county, it's a fraction. We're not here to make money, we're here to serve our community. We're here for our mission, which is to improve relationships between cops and kids. So for us, it's about bringing our cops together with our kids and our community and trying to build trust within our community. So that's why we're here. And we do that in partnership with our schools, our county government. County government has been gracious to us. The Henrico Police has been gracious to us. And there's no way we could do what we do without them. Any other questions?
When I reached out to the executive director in order for us to have this in this space, they were so happy that we'd be here. Quickly, we only have a few more things to cover. The next person is so important for us, Ms. Jean Moore, and she's the Assistant Director of Planning. The importance of planning is because everything that we do is about planning. So come on, let's receive Ms. Moore. She comes. Ms. Moore?
Thank you. Again, my name is Jean Moore. I'm one of the assistant directors for the planning department. And Reverend Cooper asked me to come tonight to update you on some of the developments that are happening, especially in Fairfield District. And some of this you may have heard before because development takes a long time. We may have been talking about this, 5-6 years ago. But first of all, I just have a quick question. Just raise a hand. How many people know what the planning department does? So I could go over this one slide if it's there. So basically, every single piece of property in the county is zoned something. That means that it's entitled for certain uses, and there's certain uses that are prohibited. A lot of times, most of the zoning in place, there was a comprehensive place in 1960, and I want you to know that because when something goes up suddenly, it might be surprising or disruptive even because it's not something you're used to seeing, but it's entitled from the zoning that may have been there 40, 50, or 10 years ago. But what also a property has a designation. It's a little different than the zoning law. It's a guide, and it's part of our 2026 comprehensive plan. So be it that there's rezoning. It might be agriculture for many years. The comp plan looks out 20 years in the future and says, okay, well, it might be this. Should it still be this? Should it change? Since I've been here with Henrico County, going over a little 20 years, it's really gone from a very one-bedroom suburban, to a very urbanized western end and a changing eastern end. And what's really great to see is we're really focused on redevelopment. Fairfield is one of the has a lot of older corridors, and what you're seeing is a lot of redevelopment and reinvestment, and we love to see that because it contains growth and it's smart growth. So basically this just outlines that everything comes through the planning department for review. We're not advocates, we're not the developers, it all comes from the private market. But what we do is it comes in and we evaluate it against the comp plan. It might have to go to a public hearing before a planning commission, and then the board of supervisors that we just had Tuesday night. They hear the cases and they make decisions on them. Once that is done, there's another phase where detailed engineer plans are submitted to another division, and they review it to make sure it complies to all environmental laws, zoning laws, any proffers, what are promises that may have been submitted and approved as part of a rezoning, but they make sure all those little details are met. After that, it comes back again for the construction and building permit plans to make sure our inspectors are on it, make sure everything is in compliance. So basically, if you think about a car from an idea to start and finish, it goes through the planning department, and we work through all the agencies, recs and parks, schools, libraries, police, fire, for all their input, and because every development has an impact, not only just the residents, but your services as well. So I thought I would start off with two community-related projects that's going on in Fairfield, and the first is the expansion of Lewis Ginter. This is a project that broke ground this past spring that will nearly double the size of the conservatory. It will add over 7 acres of new gardens, and we'll have a second lake on the property. This was part of their master plan from 2016. It really is a gem. I don't get there enough, but I think it's a great thing, and it's a jewel for the state. The other of interest to you is the relocation and construction of a new fire station number 1, which would also is going to include a public safety training facility that is planned on a 15-acre site just south of where it is now. It's on a very small acreage. This will be on Richmond Henrico Turnpike, just south of Azalea or Carolina, depending on where that line is. So right now, the Board of Supervisors just this past Tuesday approved what they called a substantially in accord finding. Because that property is zoned industrial, it's not designated for government use. State law says you have to have a substantially in accord finding to make sure it is in compliance with the goals of the comp plan. And of course, public safety is very important. The old fire station is outdated. This was going to add the fire facility is going to have a training facility. It's going to include 3 4-story, 3-story buildings that are going to replicate townhomes, mixed-use development that we're starting to see in the county, and quite frankly, the public safety staff need to train on. So there will be some training activity there, but it is in early stages. No plans have been submitted yet for the details of that. I will say if you're interested in more of this project, I believe there's going to be a community meeting on December 12th at Meadowwood Community Center. And I do have my card in the back, so if you have any questions or follow-up, email me, call me, and I can give you details on that. So moving into just general development in the Fairfield, and there's quite a bit, and I think most of you are familiar with it as you see it come out of the ground, especially all the development occurring around Virginia Center Commons, River Mill, and Retreat at 1, to name a few. So just to note some highlights, that 2 new hotels will be under construction within a very short walk of Henrico Sports and Event Center. These hotels will be a residence inn and suites hotel and a home 2 suites hotel, adding 225 rooms in this area. Recent redevelopment of some of the pad sites around Virginia Center Commons include the old Shoney's is now a Raising Cane, and the former Applebee's, which is now an IHOP. But all this activity, thing about Virginia Center Commons that we did from the planning perspective, it's one of our few form-based overlay district, which really allows higher density, more creativity, and a very incentive for people to come and redevelopment. And you're starting to see that come into fruition. So construction plans are under review for first watch at Stewart's Crossing, adjacent to Stonewall Glen. Other ongoing residential property projects that are under construction include Virginia Center and Telegraph Road apartments with a total of 554 units between them. Projects that will soon come out of the ground that are still under construction plan review include Virginia Center Townhomes in Edgebrook, and that's at the corner of Virginia Center Parkway and Jeb Stewart Parkway. Together, these will add 473 townhomes for sale. Moving on Telegraph Road towards Scott Road is Retreat at 1, which also has begun construction. This will be a residential community with a mixture of townhomes, condominiums, and villas on 65 acres, and will have 496 units. And again, this will tie into, Mr. Yob mentioned the Magellan Parkway, which they hope to be estimated to finish 2026, I believe. So all this development is like all these units you're hearing. We have the road structure. All these have been evaluated for impacts on schools and utilities. And so now it's gone through the process and it'll be phased out probably over a very decade. All of you are familiar with Green City. We're starting to get a movement there with some development plans, nothing under construction yet, but we did have 880 residential lots approved with the directors on agenda in June 2023, and now it's moving toward the other detailed plans. So don't know when that will actually come out of the ground, but it's making momentum on that. Close by and also under construction is the redevelopment of the former Knights Inn on Brook Road, and this is across from Retreat at 1. This includes 5 apartment buildings, 274 apartments, and 36 townhouse-style apartments, and that's on 65 acres. The Board of Supervisors approved a master plan to redevelopment Glenwood Farms, and this is an older apartment building that was built after World War II. The plan is to incorporate mixed housing styles and a little bit of commercial, adding 656 dwelling units over 2 phases for a total of 950 dwelling units. There was 294 there now. So not only are those being renovated, there's going to be infusion of new housing types, commercial, townhomes, and condominiums that are going to go on both sides of East Laburnum. A few other developments to touch on is the crossings at Mulberry at Chamberlain and north of Azalea. This is 86 lots. Springdale Park, which is a development of Henrico Plaza, and that's a major redevelopment. When you think about Henrico Plaza just sitting there for so long, this is will be 465 apartments altogether. And that's some of the construction you see coming underground. So when you think about all those vacant parking lots, all those underutilized buildings, our focus is really just redeveloping the corridor and bringing a lot of positive economic with it.
Is this because, is there an influx of people coming into the area or something? Because it's like every turn there's building.
Well, there is a housing shortage, and so as we just, it's just proportionally the population grows. Even if we only grow 1% every year, that 1% grows exponentially. So yeah, we are evaluating that with our comprehensive plan, which I'll get into in just a second, of our housing needs. But there is a high demand for it, and there's a shortage for it.
When is a high need for?
Yeah, that too. Yes, and part of that is inventory. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
So my question was kind of on what she was asking. Will this development put a dent in the housing shortage crisis that we have, like with all these developments, and what percentage is going to be like affordable units and things of that nature?
I don't have.
Like there's a lot of people that's unhoused, and there's a housing crisis and things of that nature. So we want to be, looking. We're hoping that some of this is going to solve that.
We are diligently working again. We work in the free market with the different housing styles. Henrico is really, it used to be that you had to have a certain square footage and you had to have this. So just recently we updated our zoning ordinance and made some radical changes. We brought back smaller lot sizes. We brought back, we actually have a different process with provisional use permit to allow higher density, more flexibility. All those things that we're hearing from the development community, these are the tools that helps make them sell the houses more affordable. We are trying to do. We do have few projects like that. Yes, ma'am. Yep. What's that? Oh yeah, I will. We'll get to that. So, actually, it's not part of my presentation, but Helios is a redevelopment on Chamberlain Avenue. And not only is there percentages to try to be market rate and lower, it actually has a solar panel utility to it that also any excess feeds to the grid, but it's really meant to give utilities to those users, reducing the cost for those. Helios is, we got that for you. 186 units with solar powered energy.
So it's to make it more affordable for the families that are going to be living there.
Absolutely.
Not the cost of the actual the rent.
Yeah, I don't know what the cost of rent's going to be, but we have more and more. What we can do if they come into rezoning, that's when we have the ability to work with the developer. We can't force them to do it.
But you don't have any stipulations with the developer, like when you said these proffers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You don't have anything that says if somebody's building 1,000 units and they're going 4 stories up, like
right.
You're not saying, okay, 3% of your units could be like, under market rate or anything like that. Like you don't have, the county doesn't have any of that.
There's nothing on the books that's a requirement.
Is that something that the county is looking to change at all?
I think that's something we are looking at.
Dave, I think up there on Springdale.
Okay.
It's a little better than 2/3. But he does have 10 news popping since it's about plus. To answer her question a little bit, I think they written it all at what sales fund is based on, and the developer gets their financing. The Springdale Park is not a Section 8. The developer, when he got his financing, 10% of the profits are income-based. What that means is, like, you don't have to have a limited income. But that's only 10% of the farm.
Right.
So the county doesn't have anything to do because it's based on the funding that the developer gets. So.
Thank you. And one of the other tools I should have mentioned too is we work with the Maggie Walker Trust. And so what that does is we do have our later rezonings and larger developments. There is a commitment that a certain number of them will be working with the Maggie Walker Trust. And what that does is essentially reduces the cost of the land and keeps it flat. And that way, first-time buyers and stuff can afford it and then build up some equity and hopefully move on. But what happens is after that, that land value stays flat. So they're able to pass on those costs to the next person. Also, fairways. This was, of course, the old Glenwood Golf Course. This is finally under construction. And this is 290 lots, and these are the smaller R5A lots. And that's off of Creighton Road. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
R4, they're single-family lots. They're just allowed to be a little bit smaller. And So that allows for, again, you're reducing the land value, so it's more affordable.
So why are
those lots much smaller?
They're just a different zoning classification. There are R5A lots are very popular throughout the entire county. We have them in Short Pump, Varina. It just allows for more flexibility in design.
So does that mean only certain type of homes can be built on that?
No, not necessarily. We see all kinds of homes. We've seen, 25 to 3,000 square foot homes to 950 square foot homes. It really doesn't dictate the home size other than the building footprint.
And will it extend, like I see it has started at the golf course, like the back of the golf course on the Creighton Road side?
Okay.
Will it extend to Beck Drive?
Let me go back to that so you can kind of see the entirety. So they will start in the back. That makes more sense for them to put the roads down and start on that way. But I don't know specifically what road are you talking about?
Beck.
On the back?
Beck Drive and what is that? Where if you cross over is Fairfield way going towards the city.
Yeah. I'll give you call me tomorrow and I can tell you where those boundaries are.
Okay. And is Ryan Holmes the only builder or developer in that for that subdivision?
I'll look into that too. I'm not sure.
Thank you.
I actually had a question about Springdale.
Yes, ma'am.
Who decides what commerce goes in there? Because I remember a couple of meetings. I live in Central Gardens.
Okay.
We had a committee meeting, and we were told that maybe a Chipotle was going in there. And now I see they have a barber. I know that small businesses need places to go, but we really need a supermarket.
Yeah.
We only have Food Lion. I'm wondering, and I know there's commercial space directly across from it. Who goes after commerce? Or does commerce come to you?
No, well, that's what I'm trying to emphasize.
Enticing them to come into this area.
What we do is we lay the tools for a free market. So we put down the right zoning, business, enough of it in the right location. But beyond that, the county is not in the business of marketing certain uses or not. What we do is we can meet. We do have an economic development who might go out and say there's a need for this, and they work for retention. They work to recruit smaller, and they also have a whole team that looks the bigger worldwide companies. So not necessarily the planning department, but the economic development authority does that.
Because we don't need any more chicken places. We have enough of those. We don't need any more hair places, but we do have a tremendous need for another supermarket. So we don't have to go into any other area. Keep the money within our community.
I know that young lady back there lives off of Azalea Avenue and Buttresses, Chamberlain. At her association, they feel the same way about just having the limitation. And I sat and told them, as I'll tell you, that I am committed to economic development through the EDA. If you notice, on 9 Mile Road, my first house was off of Creighton Road, right? So all I had was the Saber lot. I had to go to Hanover, or I had to go to, down Laburnum past Adams to the Publix. So I live that. So I'm working with the EDA to try to entice the businesses. And one thing I'm hoping for the Fairways development is that the growth that we're showing will entice the business. Listen, if you bring your business here, we will support it. I looked at Cheddar's, right? Anybody ever ate at Cheddar's? What would it take to get a restaurant like a Cheddar's or those kinds of restaurants? There's stipulations. If you go online, we have to have this social economics. You have to have this kind of. So there's certain things that companies require that I'm trying to figure out how can work around that. And so I'm with you. So the Chipotle, if you look at where the Dunkin' is, that empty space, that's where the Chipotle is supposed to go. So it's right there. I haven't heard any different. So right there where that empty pad is, that's where the Chipotle is going to go.
Yeah, but they had to figure the planning mission because in their regional planning, I don't think they had a drive-through. So they had to carry it back to the county. You know, it's my understanding the drive-through's okay. I guess it just came out of it. It's good.
And I will say this, getting that Chick-fil-A on 9 Mile Road, I was at the ribbon cutting. People may not know the Chick-fil-A at White Oak is the busiest Chick-fil-A in the region. And so there are those who live in that area who had to go farther away to get even that. And so they are happy about just the development. Hear me, when I ride by the Kmart, when I ride by the Walgreens, empty now. So also understand, Azalea Mall, for instance, Azalea Mall has a private owner who's trying to sell it at such an astronomical price, it can't be purchased. And so those, and same thing with the former Kmart. A person owns that property who's not trying to get off that property, so we can't redevelop it. So I just want you to know, I'm weekly, monthly trying to figure out, okay, what can we do to stimulate? What can we do to get them to want to do business with us to make it? I mean, listen, Glenwood Farms, I'm so excited about what's going to happen. Just yesterday, we approved a special ordinance to do a rent inspection district at St. Luke. For the last month, I've been dealing with problems at St. Luke. Washers and dryers have been out almost a year. A year. And not only that, they have rodent infestation. I've got my police here, they'll tell you, they didn't fix the fences like they said, the cameras are out. And so enough is enough. And so just know your county, I'm here, we're here. We're going to work through all this stuff together. So thank you for that. Gene, you got much more? Because I got 1 minute.
I just wanted to talk about.
They're killing me, Gene.
I can end it. I just want to say we do have a new. There's a community meeting on this project coming up on Monday night at Belmont Center. If you're interested in that, this is a small development going next to it. I just want to touch on really quick. There are cards in the bag for the comprehensive plan that I talked about. We are updating it. We are going to be hitting the streets, hopefully late winter and spring, to talk about the future and alternative land use. It's very important. Please pick up a card, go on our website, get familiar, sign up to our newsletter. It's very important that we have your input. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to all of our presenters, especially those who stayed back to answer any questions, our police officers. I want to thank you all for coming out. Those online, thank you for watching. This is our 4th forum for the year, and it was important that I set the agenda for the year. So thank you all. So also, my card is back in the back. If you, whatever ideas you have, topics that you want to hear, email me. I'd love to make sure the next one we have, whatever topics we can filter them throughout the year, and we're going to do the same thing next year. I was asked by a resident of Central Gardens, if you come back here, please do it when it's warmer. Amen. So we're going to see if we can work on that. Couple quick reminders. Our next Board of Supervisors meeting is December the 17th at 6 p.m. As always, all of our meetings are live streamed, and please get your card on the way out. And the last thing, please have a happy and safe holiday. Have a good night, everybody.